My dear friends, let me tell you something right now. This is not just another moment. This is not just another day. This is a turning point. This is the kind of moment heaven itself has scheduled, the kind of moment that demands your full attention, because when God moves, nothing stays the same. Too many of us walk through life thinking our pain went unnoticed, that our struggles were invisible, that our silent prayers slipped into the dark with no answer. But I'm here to tell you they didn't. Every sleepless night, every heavy burden, every whispered cry, heaven heard it. And tonight the announcement is clear, the waiting is over. This is not comfort talk. This is a declaration. This is God Himself stepping into the middle of your battle and saying, it ends now. The weight that pressed on your shoulders, it's lifting. The door that's been shut for too long, it's swinging wide. The chains that wrapped around your spirit, they're breaking. Don't you dare think this is coincidence. You didn't stumble into this word by accident. You were drawn here. You were meant to hear this, because the season has shifted. The time is here. And when God says it's time, everything changes. Before we dive deeper into this revelation, I just want to pause and welcome you. Thank you to everyone who has supported this space, whether through a kind word, a share, or simply your quiet presence. From the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful. Your faith helps this message spread like fire in the wilderness. And if these words speak to you, drop 777 the comments as a sign of alignment and awakening. Now let's begin. Beloved chosen ones, hear me closely. This is not an ordinary moment. This is not another passing hour. This is a divine appointment carved into eternity, a season already written long before you and I ever breathed. In the last word, we acknowledge that this time is not by chance. Now we step deeper into the truth that has carried you through every dark night. You have never been alone. Think about it. The tears that no one else saw, the nights when your pillow was soaked, the mornings you dragged yourself through exhaustion, none of that was overlooked. You wondered if anyone noticed, if anyone cared, if anyone even heard your whispered prayers. And the answer has already been given. Every moment of your pain has been counted. Psalm 56:8 says, you number my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? Imagine that for a second. Every tear you cried in the midnight hour, recorded, treasured, remembered, not one drop wasted, not one sigh ignored. And here's what that means. You haven't been abandoned. You haven't been left behind. Even when the silence felt unbearable, His presence never departed. What you feel stirring in your spirit right now is not your imagination. It is awareness awakening, an inner rising that signals change. Obstacles are about to be removed. Burdens are about to lift. That weight pressing on your chest, that heaviness you've carried so long, it's being broken right now. This isn't just comfort, this is command. It's not simply an emotional lift. It is a shift in reality. When the highest authority speaks, chains don't argue, they fall. When He releases healing, sickness doesn't get the last word. When freedom is declared, captivity has no choice but to end. And you're standing in the middle of that decree. Now, maybe you ask, why now? Why not earlier? Why not when I begged for it years ago? And the answer is simple. The timing is perfect. The season has come. You didn't stumble into these words by mistake. They came searching for you to remind you of what has always been true. He never left your side. The presence that held you together in silence is the same presence calling you higher today. Let me paint this clearly. His nearness is not always thunder and fire. Sometimes it's the unshakable peace in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it's that deep knowing that even when everything collapses around you, you are still held. That's what you feel right now, that peace rising up, reminding you that the barriers in front of you are temporary. But let me warn you, this moment is not only about comfort. It is about calling. You are not just being soothed, you are being summoned. There's a voice rising from eternity itself saying, this is your time. This is your moment. This is where you step forward. And that's where your response matters. This is not a passive season. You don't get to sit back and watch. You are being asked to step into a line to accept. The word reminds us in Hebrews 3:15, today if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Don't push it away. Don't delay it until tomorrow. Don't excuse yourself with fear. Picture it with me. The creator of heaven and earth stands before you, hand extended, eyes burning with love, and he whispers with power, don't harden your heart. Say yes. And here's where I need you to hear me with everything inside you. When that invitation comes, you cannot stay silent. You cannot stay still. Say yes. Even when you're trembling, even when you don't have every detail figured out, even when your faith feels as fragile as glass, say yes, because your yes has power. Your yes breaks the grip of fear. Your yes silences the lies of shame. Your yes opens the doors that no man could open for you. Something happens in the unseen realm when you respond. It's more than words, it's alignment. Your yes connects you to the verdict already given in heaven. The chains loosen the blockages, crack the voices of accusation, are forced into silence. That's not wishful thinking, that's reality shifting. So right now, wherever you are, don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your spirit. Let these words sink into the deepest part of you. Whisper it if you must, shout it if you can. Creator, I hear your voice. I receive your word. I accept your call. I am yours. And as you say it, feel the shift. That's not imagination. That's not hype. That's eternity touching your present moment. Some of you feel it now, the weight lifting, the atmosphere changing, peace settling over you like a blanket in the night. Don't resist it. Don't second guess it. Don't treat it like coincidence. This is real. This is sacred. This is for you, but don't miss it. Don't let this holy appointment slip through your fingers. These moments don't come every day. They arrive with purpose and they demand response. This is the window of grace open wide right now. And when grace opens, the only right response is surrender. So I'm challenging you. Make it real. Don't just feel it, declare it. If this word stirs your spirit, if you know this is your time, mark it with your yes. Write it, speak it, claim it. If you're online, drop it in the comments. Yes, just that one word. And let me tell you that one word carries weight. It tells the world, it tells the enemy, it tells your own soul, you are aligned with the decision already made in heaven. Don't underestimate it. Don't dismiss it. Your yes is not a small thing. It is heaven's echo, earth's agreement, and the enemy's defeat. That yes is the sound of chains breaking. That yes is the sight of doors opening. That yes is the signal that your story has shifted. And so I say it again with urgency, with passion, with conviction. Don't harden your heart. Don't turn away. Don't wait another day. And say yes. Because when you do, life as you knew it will not remain the same. The weight you carried will not define you. The obstacles you faced will not stop you. The verdict has already been written. Freedom, breakthrough, restoration, and all of it is unlocked with one simple word. Yes. Oh, chosen ones, listen close, because what I'm about to say carries weight. This isn't light talk. This isn't a casual idea floating in the air. This is a verdict. This is a final word from the highest courtroom in existence. And when that word is spoken, no power on earth, no darkness in hell, no voice of accusation can overturn it. For too long the adversary has stood against you. He has whispered in your ear. He has gathered evidence. He has taken every mistake, every failure, every weakness in your life and tried to build a case against you. He wanted you to believe you were guilty. He wanted you to carry shame like a chain around your neck. He wanted you to live bowed down, crushed under the weight of accusations. You know what I mean? Those thoughts that tell you you'll never be enough. Those feelings that say your past is too dirty, your scars too deep, your sins too heavy. The enemy has been pointing at your life like a prosecutor listing charges, presenting evidence, trying to convince heaven itself that you are unworthy. But hear me tonight, the case has already been heard. The judge of all creation has taken his seat. The gavel has struck, and the ruling has gone forth. Situation resolved. Not because you were flawless, not because you earned it, not because you checked every box of perfection. No, it was resolved because mercy stepped in. It was resolved because compassion rewrote the record. It was resolved because love paid the price in your place. You see, when heaven declares something finished, it is finished. The record that once showed guilt now reads freedom. The page that listed charges is now stamped with one holy word: set free. That's not a metaphor. That's not symbolic. That's reality in the unseen realm. Let that sink in. You were accused, but the verdict was acquittal. You were bound, but the decree was release. You were weighed down by shame, but heaven's word was restoration. This is not theory. This is the decision of the highest authority. And when he rules, no one appeals. I want you to picture it. The adversary standing tall, waving papers of accusation. He points at your failures. He points at your sins. He points at your brokenness. He says, this one is guilty. This one is unworthy. This one should be denied. But before he can finish, the judge rises. His presence fills the court. He does not debate. He does not negotiate. He simply declares, resolved, set free. And in that moment, every accusation crumbles. Every charge dissolves. Every chain snaps. The voice of the enemy is silenced, not by argument, but by authority. Do you feel that? That's the sound of heaven defending you. That's the sound of divine justice, overturning every lie spoken over your life. This is where you have to understand something deeper. The verdict was never about your perfection. It was always about his love. If it depended on us, none of us would stand. If it depended on flawless performance, we'd all be condemned. But this verdict rests on a love so fierce, so unrelenting, so complete, that it stepped into the courtroom on your behalf and said, I will pay the cost. I will take the punishment. I will carry the shame. That's why the record now says, set free. That's why you can walk in victory. Because the one who knew no sin became sin for you so that you might become righteousness in his sight. And let me tell you, once heaven stamps your life with freedom, the label of guilt no longer sticks. But here's where we often stumble. The verdict is final, yet we live as if the trial is still going. We keep replaying our mistakes. We keep listening to the enemy's whispers. We keep wearing shame like a garment, even though heaven already clothed us in grace. And tonight I came to tell somebody, it's time to stop living like you're still on trial. The trial ended. The decision was made, and the decision was in your favor. So walk like you're free. Talk like you're free. Breathe like you're free. Because you are, understand this, freedom doesn't mean your past never happened. It means your past no longer defines your future. It means the weight of those chains no longer determines your steps. It means what was once written against you has been wiped clean by hands that will never let you go. I know some of you have been under that heaviness for a long time. You've carried guilt, shame, accusations. You've been waiting for approval, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to say you're enough. But the waiting is over. The approval has already been stamped. The validation was given at the cross. And the verdict has been shouted from heaven. Resolved, free, restored. Now I need you to claim it. Don't let this be just words on a screen or sound waves in the air. Claim it, speak it, declare it over your life. When the enemy tries to whisper, you're still guilty, stand tall and respond. The highest court already ruled. The case is closed. When shame tries to creep back in, say the record is cleared. When fear says you're not worthy, declare I've been set free. You see, this verdict is not only about ending hardship, It's about beginning a new journey. It's about rising above the weight that once crushed you. It's about stepping into a path of victory, walking with the confidence that heaven has your back. This is the start of something new. The end of accusations is the beginning of destiny. Think of it like this. When a prisoner is released, the chains don't just fall, the doors swing open. Freedom is not just the absence of bondage, it is the presence of possibility. It is the opportunity to rise, to walk, to live. That's what this verdict has given you. Not just release from the old, but the invitation into the new. And I can hear someone asking, but what if I fail again? What if I stumble? What if I'm not strong enough? Let me remind you, the verdict was never about your flawless performance. It was about his unchanging mercy. It was about his decision to cover you, to carry you, to call you his own. You may fall, but the verdict still stands. You may stumble, but freedom remains written over your name. So here's what I'm urging you tonight. Stop replaying the trial. Stop agreeing with the prosecutor. Stop living like the charges are still valid. The judge has already spoken. The case is resolved, and his word cannot be overturned. Lift your head, straighten your back, walk into your tomorrow with boldness. The old record no longer binds you. The gavel has already fallen. The seal has already been set, and it reads, set free. Let me leave you with this picture. Imagine the courtroom one last time. The adversary is silent now. The judge's declaration echoes still, case closed. The doors swing wide. The chains are gone. And as you step out, you don't just walk free, you walk chosen. You walk beloved. You walk in victory. Because heaven's verdict is final. The case is resolved. And you, my friend, are free. Beloved chosen ones, there is one truth I can assure you of. If you do not grasp it right now, you may spend your whole life searching for worth in places that were never meant to define who you are. You'll spend your years chasing approval, running after applause, measuring yourself by achievements that can never truly settle your soul. And now we're going to tear down that lie. We are going to remind ourselves of who we are, not because of what we've done, but because of who He is and what He has already spoken over our lives. The voices of this world are deafening, and they constantly try to attach labels to your life that were never yours to carry. Some people observe your past mistakes and quickly call you a failure. Others see the heavy struggles that once pressed you down and decide you must be weak. They look at the place you came from, your background and history, and declare that you will never rise above it. Even worse, the most painful and persistent accusations sometimes do not come from others, but from within yourself. Your own mind can become the loudest critic, rehearsing old shame, replaying scenes of failure, and reminding you of wrong turns again and again. But above all those voices, there is a greater word, a higher voice that cuts through the noise, declaring you belong, you matter, and you are mine. Psalm 2:7 declares, "You are my son. Today I have begotten you." Those words are not meant to remain as a distant echo of ancient history. They are a living declaration that continues to reach into the depths of your soul, even in this very moment. They remind you that your worth was never designed to be earned, and that your true identity was never intended to be conditional or temporary. You are not considered valuable because you achieved great success, nor are you loved because you managed to live flawlessly. You are who you are because the Creator Himself placed His seal of ownership and affection upon your life. Isaiah 4:3. 4 echoes this truth with unmistakable clarity. You are precious in my eyes, honored, and I love you. Once this reality takes root, no judgment or shame can erase it. Let us pause for a moment and truly consider what this means. If your value is anchored in the identity given by God Himself, then no failure has the power to erase it, and no success has the ability to enhance it. When your worth is spoken and secured by eternal love, no situation, no opinion, and no season of life can undo it. Yet many people drift through their days believing their value rises and falls with every word others speak, with every achievement gained, or with every applause or rejection received. That kind of constant measuring always leads to exhaustion, because the human soul was never designed to survive on the unstable approval of man. You were made to rest in the unchanging assurance of divine love. When you begin to fully embrace this truth, fear slowly starts to lose its grip on your heart and mind. Shame no longer clings to you but falls away like heavy chains, breaking and crashing to the floor. The restless anxiety of always trying to prove yourself gives way to a calm and unshakable confidence. This confidence is not rooted in arrogance but in divine assurance. It is the steady awareness that regardless of who applauds or rejects you, your name is written and your worth is forever sealed. Picture this clearly. A diamond that has been buried and covered in layers of dirt may appear worthless to the casual passerby, but to the jeweler who understands its nature, its value is never in question. He does not focus on the mud or the stains clinging to the outside. Instead, he sees the priceless stone hidden within. In the same way, the world may only notice your scars, your failures, and your brokenness, judging you as though that is all you are. But the Creator looks deeper, sees His image, and declares, "This one is mine." Precious, honored, loved. Living from that true identity completely transforms the way you walk through life. When you know without doubt that you are a child of God, you no longer bend under the weight of every accusation or label thrown your way. When you believe you are honored in His sight, you stop shrinking yourself just to fit into places and relationships that were never meant to contain your worth. When you finally receive the reality that you are loved without condition, you stop begging for counterfeit affection and temporary approval. Far too many people lower their standard, handing out discounts on their value, apologizing for simply existing, and tolerating treatment that is far beneath what heaven intended. But if God has called you precious, you cannot afford to live as if you are disposable. Some of you know deeply what it feels like to walk through life carrying labels that were never true to begin with. Perhaps as a child, someone told you that you would never amount to anything, and those words attached themselves to your soul. Perhaps rejection cut such deep wounds that even today you still hear the painful echoes. Perhaps betrayal whispered lies that convinced you that you were unlovable and unworthy of trust. Yet the truth stands firm. None of those voices have the authority to define who you are. The only word that truly matters is the eternal word already spoken over your life. A word of belonging, identity, and unchanging love. And this is the assurance that should settle your soul and bring peace to your heart. God's love does not rise and fall based on your behavior, and His protection is never dependent on your performance. People may walk away, friends may betray, and even family may fail to understand you, but His love remains unshaken. It is constant, steady, and unmovable. It does not weaken with the passing of time, nor does it disappear when you stumble or fall short. That is the reason you can finally rest tonight without anxiety. That is the reason you can breathe deeply without carrying the fear of rejection on your shoulders. You are not required to hustle in desperation just to earn His attention. You are not called to strive endlessly in order to prove your worth. You already carry His approval. You already belong. If your identity were rooted in performance, every failure would destroy it. But because it is rooted in Him alone, it cannot be undone. Think of it this way. When the foundation of a house is strong and secure, the winds may blow fiercely and storms may rage with all their force, yet the house remains standing. But when the foundation is weak or fragile, even the smallest storm has the power to bring the entire structure crashing down. In the same way, if your worth is built on people's opinions or fleeting achievements, you will collapse. But if your identity rests on God's eternal declaration, you remain unshaken. So let me place a challenge before you today. It is time to stop rehearsing the voice of shame in your mind and instead begin rehearsing the voice of truth. It is time to stop giving the critics in your life the final authority over you and start declaring the eternal word already spoken. Stop allowing your scars to define you and start living from the seal God Himself has placed upon your soul. You are not an accident. You are not a failure. You are not forgotten or overlooked. You are a beloved child of God. You are precious in His sight, honored in His presence, and deeply loved beyond measure. When you choose to live from that unshakable truth, everything about your life begins to shift. You no longer waste energy proving, chasing, or striving. Instead, you walk with boldness, speak with clarity, and move forward with divine purpose. So tonight I invite you to lift your head high and refuse to bow beneath the crushing weight of shame any longer. Stop allowing the accusations of others to dictate how you view yourself. Begin to look at your life through the unchanging eyes of love. Speak it out boldly until your soul believes it. I am His. I am precious. I am honored. I am loved. Psalm 2:7 continues to declare with authority, "You are my son. Today I have begotten you." And Isaiah 43:4 still resounds with timeless truth. "You are precious in my eyes, honored, and I love you." Let these words settle deep into your heart. Let them silence every whisper of the enemy. Let them rewrite the broken story you may have believed about yourself. Because once you truly embrace this truth, you will no longer walk as one condemned, but as one fully redeemed. And this is the assurance that will carry you forward. Your worth is never built on performance. Your identity is not fragile, and your value cannot be erased. You belong. You are secure, and you are loved beyond all measure. Beloved chosen ones, when the weight of heaven's truth comes crashing down against every lie that's ever been spoken over your life, this is not a small matter. This is not an idea to be lightly considered. This is final. This is decisive. The adversary who stood against you has been defeated. His accusations have been swallowed whole by mercy. His strategies have been undone by compassion. His voice has been silenced by power greater than he could ever withstand. For too long he stood in the shadows pointing fingers. He gathered up your mistakes and waved them like evidence. He listed your failures, recited your weaknesses, magnified your pain, and tried to present a case that you were unworthy, unloved, unforgivable. He wanted to hold you hostage to shame. He wanted to trap you in cycles of doubt. He wanted to convince you that your story was over before it had barely begun. But hear this: when the presence of the Almighty enters the courtroom of your life, the enemy's case collapses. His evidence cannot hold up under the light of grace. His accusations lose their power when they collide with compassion. His threats dissolve in the fire of mercy. What he meant to destroy you has already been overturned. What he tried to use against you has been nullified by love that refuses to let you go. Imagine the scene. The enemy rises with boldness, papers in hand, ready to accuse. He begins to speak, but then the atmosphere shifts. The judge rises from his seat, and his very presence fills the chamber. Suddenly, the boldness of the accuser drains away. His voice begins to tremble. The papers slip from his hands, because he knows when the Almighty stands, no accusation can remain. When power fills the room, every lie is forced to bow. This is not poetic imagery. This is the reality of what has already happened for you. The cross swallowed every accusation. The mercy of heaven consumed every charge. The compassion of the Creator silenced every word spoken against you. The enemy has no authority left to block what has already been declared over your life. And so you must hear me with everything inside of you. The adversary has lost. The chains he tried to bind you with are broken. The doors he tried to close are standing open. The shame he tried to bury you in has been rolled away. He is defeated, and he cannot undo it. Now here's the question. Will you live as if he still has power, or will you rise as one who knows the victory is already won? Because the truth is this: the battle is over, but many still live like captives. The verdict is freedom, yet too many still carry chains. The gavel has fallen in your favor, but some still walk as if the trial isn't finished. No, my friends, it is finished. It is done. It is sealed. The enemy's defeat is not pending. It is not waiting for future confirmation. It has already happened. And that means you can walk boldly, you can stand tall, you can declare with confidence, I belong to the Most High. Say it with me right now. I belong to the Most High. Not to shame, not to fear, not to condemnation, not to the voice of the accuser. You belong to the one who created you, redeemed you, and declared victory over you. But understand this, the enemy will try to keep you from declaring it. He knows he cannot undo the victory, so he tries to convince you not to believe it. He tries to keep you silent because silence is his last weapon. If he can keep you from speaking truth, he can keep you bound in lies. That's why your declaration matters. That's why your voice carries power. Because every time you say, I belong to the Most High, you are aligning yourself with the verdict already written in heaven. And don't you know when you declare truth, the atmosphere shifts, fear loses ground, shame fades away. The lies that once sounded loud begin to crumble. Your declaration is not empty. It is backed by the authority of heaven itself. So say it again deep from your soul, I belong to the Most High. Say it until the enemy hears it. Say it until the doubts shrink back. Say it until your own spirit rises with fire. Because this is the anthem of the victorious. This is the sound of the redeemed. The enemy has failed. He cannot stop what has been decreed. He cannot reverse what has been written. He cannot block what has already been unlocked. His defeat is decisive, his downfall complete, his power stripped, and your victory is not temporary, it is eternal. Let me tell you why this matters so much. Because some of you have been walking with a cloud of guilt over your head as if the accusations were still hanging in the air. You've been living in fear, wondering if your mistakes will come back to haunt you. But tonight I need you to understand the record has been cleared. The charges have been dropped. The case has been closed. There is no more evidence left to present. The courtroom is empty. The judge has ruled, and the ruling was in your favor. That's why you don't need to defend yourself anymore. That's why you don't need to prove yourself anymore. That's why you don't need to fear condemnation anymore. Because mercy already spoke. Compassion already intervened. Love already covered it all. And listen, the enemy's defeat is not just about ending his accusations. It's about opening your future. It's about releasing you into destiny. It's about making way for the purpose that was always meant to unfold in your life. The closing of his case was the opening of your calling. The silencing of his voice was the awakening of yours. Sorrise, speak, declare. Don't hide in the shadows anymore. Don't live bowed under fear anymore. Don't act like a prisoner when the chains have already been broken. Stand in the light. Walk in the freedom. Live in the boldness of the victory already secured. You see, this is what decisive victory looks like. It doesn't just remove the enemy's power, it releases your power. It doesn't just silence his voice, it strengthens yours. It doesn't just close his case, it opens your story. The mercy of God has already consumed the accusations. The compassion of the Creator has already silenced the enemy. And now the responsibility is yours to live as one who knows it, to move through this world, not in fear of defeat, but in certainty of triumph. So I leave you with this charge. Never again let the enemy convince you that he holds sway over your future. Never again let shame dictate your steps. Never again bow to the voice of condemnation. You know the truth. You know the verdict. You know the victory. Declare it boldly. Say it until every shadow trembles. Shout it until every doubt disappears. Proclaim it until every chain falls completely away. I belong to the Most High. That is your anthem. That is your identity. That is your victory. The enemy has been defeated, and nothing can ever change that. And the assurance that heaven has sent is this: the Almighty has not stayed distant watching from afar. He has stepped down. He has entered the middle of your life. He has come close, not with empty comfort, but with power to change the very reality you are living in. This is not imagination. This is not emotional hype. This is not the stirring of feelings that fade when the music stops. This is the reversal of reality itself. The obstacles that once looked immovable are trembling. The sickness that tried to claim your body is shrinking back. The sorrow that weighed down your soul is losing its grip. The anxiety that kept you awake at night is beginning to dissolve. This is not symbolic. This is actual. This is not someday. This is right now. You see, for too long, many of us have believed that God blesses from a distance. We picture him high in heaven looking down, speaking kind words while we struggle here below. But hear me tonight. He is not only the God who speaks from the throne, he is the God who steps into the fire. He is the God who enters the storm. He is the God who does not just send blessings down, but who comes down himself. And when he arrives, everything shifts. Think about the weight of that truth. When a human being steps into a room, the atmosphere changes slightly. When a person of influence walks in, the room gets quiet. But when the Almighty steps in, reality itself trembles. Obstacles quake, sickness shudders, fear collapses, sorrow scatters. You can feel the shift. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but your spirit knows something is moving, something is breaking, something is changing, and it is happening now. This is not the kind of word that tells you, be patient, and maybe in 10 years things will improve. This is the kind of word that says, the God of eternity has already stepped into your moment. The breakthrough is not on the horizon, it is in the room. Now let me speak plain. Some of you have been fighting obstacles for years. Doors have stayed closed. Opportunities have slipped away. No matter how hard you pushed, you felt like something unseen was blocking you. And tonight you need to hear that those blockages are trembling because the one who holds all authority has come near. He does not need permission from your obstacles. He does not negotiate with your enemies. He does not request cooperation from the forces that oppose you. When he moves, they scatter. When he arrives, they fall. The sickness that has stalked your body does not get the final say. The sorrow that has haunted your nights does not get to write the ending. The anxiety that has poisoned your peace does not get to dictate your future. Why? Because the presence of the Almighty has stepped into the equation, and when he intervenes, what seemed permanent begins to unravel. What looked impossible begins to bow. This is not just about inward feelings. This is about tangible shifts. Relationships that seem beyond repair begin to heal. Financial burdens that felt crushing start to lift. Emotional pain that seemed endless begins to ease. Physical illness begins to weaken in the presence of power. This is not theory. It is reality unfolding when heaven comes down to earth. You've got to catch this. God is not passive. He is not waiting for the right conditions. He is not checking to see if you are strong enough. He is already acting. The movement has begun. The intervention is underway, and it is personal. This is not a general announcement for humanity in vague terms. This is for you, your life, your situation, your storm, your pain, your battle. And if you can sense it deep in your spirit right now, you know what I mean? You feel the stirring. You feel the pressure shifting. You feel the weight beginning to lift. That is not wishful thinking. That is the sign of his presence at work in real time. Some of you are still doubting. You're asking, can this really happen? Can my situation really change? Let me answer that with clarity. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because when he steps down, nothing remains unaltered. Remember, this is not a message about you fixing yourself. This is about the Almighty intervening, This is not about your strength rising up. This is about his strength filling the room. So he urge you, don't resist it. Don't brush it off as coincidence. Don't explain it away. Receive it. Lean into it. Breathe it in. Let it soak into the deepest part of who you are. The transformation you have been waiting for, the turnaround you have been praying for, the shift you have been longing for, it is happening. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Let me put it like this. Imagine a prisoner locked in a cell, years spent behind iron bars. Every day the door is closed. Every day freedom seems impossible. Then one day the sound of keys rattles. The guard steps in, turns the lock, and swings the door wide. That is what this moment is. The door is open. The chains are falling. The way is clear. And the invitation is simple. Step out. Walk into freedom. Live in the reality of intervention. But make no mistake, this is not a halfway measure. This is not temporary relief. This is total intervention. It is decisive. It is complete. And once you grasp it, you cannot go back to living as if you are still bound. Once the door is open, you cannot pretend you are still in the cage. Once the chains are broken, you cannot act like you are still shackled. You must walk forward. You must embrace it. You must step boldly into the freedom already given. The obstacles are trembling, the sickness is shrinking, the sorrow is scattering, the anxiety is fleeing, because his presence has stepped into your life. And he will not leave you where he found you. He has come to shift, to overturn, to reverse, to restore. So my beloved, receive this moment. Receive it with confidence. Let go of hesitation. Let go of doubt. Declare it boldly. This is not imagination. This is transformation. This is not symbolic. This is reality. The intervention of heaven is here. The Almighty has stepped into my story. And from this moment forward, nothing will ever be the same. My dear friends, we spoke about how the Almighty does not stay distant, how he steps directly into your story and overturns realities in the present moment. But here's what you must understand when he comes near. He doesn't just change your circumstances, he also changes the way you see. He doesn't only open doors in the natural, he opens eyes in the spiritual. And what I'm about to share is one of the greatest treasures you will ever receive, the gift of clarity, the gift of inner discernment. This gift is not something you can buy. It is not something you can earn through effort. It is not even something the world can teach you. It is a gift woven into the soul by the Spirit of the living God. It is the ability to see truth beneath the surface, to perceive what lies behind appearances, to recognize what is real, even when everything around you tries to confuse you. Think about it. We live in a world full of noise, voices everywhere, opinions everywhere, images flashing before our eyes, information filling our minds, distractions pulling at our hearts. And in the middle of all that noise, how easy it is to lose sight of what is true. How easy it is to get caught up in the surface and miss the substance. But the gift I'm talking about tonight cuts through the noise. It clears the fog. It brings peace where there was confusion, stillness where there was chaos, clarity where there was doubt. Some of you know what I mean. You've walked into situations where everything looked right on the outside, but something deep inside whispered, wait, be careful, something is off. That was not paranoia. That was not anxiety. That was discernment. That was the Spirit giving you clarity beyond what your natural eyes could see. And maybe you've been in the opposite situation where nothing made sense, the odds looked impossible, the circumstances seemed against you, but deep down you felt peace. You didn't know why. You couldn't explain it, but somehow you knew you were exactly where you needed to be. That too is the gift of clarity. That is the inner compass pointing you toward truth. When every outer sign screams the opposite, let me tell you something, that kind of peace is not weakness. That calmness in the middle of a storm is not passivity. It is strength. It is power. because it is proof that your spirit is being led by something greater than circumstance. It is proof that you are connected to the one who sees all, knows all, and guides his people into truth. Now let's make this plain. This gift is not about predicting the future. It is not about fortune telling. It is about perception. It is about awareness. It is about knowing what is of God and what is not. It is about recognizing truth when lies are dressed in disguise. It is about walking in wisdom when foolishness is celebrated by the crowd, and this gift is not rare. It is not for a chosen few. It is for all who open their hearts to receive it. Because every son, every daughter of the Most High needs clarity. Without it, you are tossed back and forth by every voice, every distraction, every emotion. With it, you become anchored. You become steady. You walk with confidence. Let me put it like this. Imagine walking through a crowded street at night. Neon lights flashing, music blaring, people shouting, distractions everywhere. Without clarity, you are lost in the noise. But with discernment, it's like a spotlight shines on the right path. Suddenly, in the middle of chaos, you see exactly where to step. You hear the one voice that matters above all others. That is what this gift does. It gives you focus in the midst of distraction. And let's be honest, life is full of people wearing masks. Not every smile is genuine. Not every word is sincere. Not every opportunity is good. Without discernment, you can get deceived. You can invest in the wrong people, chase the wrong dreams, open your heart to the wrong influences. But with clarity, you see beneath the mask. You don't just hear the words, you sense the spirit behind them. You don't just see the opportunity, you discern the intention. That's what protects your heart. That's what guards your spirit. Some of you have wondered, how did I know? How did I sense it? That was the Spirit's gift at work. And tonight you need to embrace it. Stop doubting it. Stop brushing it aside. Stop calling it coincidence. Recognize it for what it is. A divine gift given to keep you steady in an unsteady world. This gift not only protects you, it also guides you. It leads you toward people of truth, opportunities of growth, paths of life. It shows you not just what to avoid, but where to step. It whispers, this is the way, walk in it. It highlights the door you might have missed. It points to the person you might have overlooked. It confirms when it is time to wait and when it is time to move. And here is the beauty. It doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you humble. Because you know this wisdom is not your own. You know this clarity didn't come from intellect or education or natural ability. You know it came from a higher source. And because of that, you live not in pride, but in gratitude. Beloved, understand this. When you walk in this gift, you are no longer shaken by every storm. You are no longer fooled by every disguise. You are no longer chained by confusion. Instead, you walk in peace. You walk in truth. You walk with vision clear enough to see beyond what others see. That's why tonight I'm urging you value this gift. Guard it, protect it, nurture it. Don't let the noise of this world drown it out. Don't ignore the whisper for the sake of comfort. Don't trade discernment for popularity, because the gift of clarity is worth more than gold. It is the difference between falling and standing, between wandering and walking with purpose, between being deceived and being free. And let me tell you, if you've ever felt like you don't fit in, like you see things differently than others, like you can't just go along with the crowd, it may be because this gift is active in your life. While others are distracted, you are perceiving. While others are restless, you are still. While others are swept away, you are anchored. Don't despise that. Don't run from it. That's not isolation, that's insight. That's not strangeness, that's clarity. So let this truth rise in you tonight. The gift of clarity is yours. The gift of discernment is within you. You don't have to stumble in confusion. You don't have to be deceived by appearances. You don't have to live tossed by opinions. You can walk steady, confident, anchored in peace, guided by truth. This is the inheritance of the chosen. This is the strength of the beloved. And if you embrace it, your steps will be steady, your vision clear, your path secure. And while having the gift is one thing, learning how to live with it, how to use it, how to sustain it, in the midst of a world full of distractions, that is where true maturity comes. Clarity and discernment are like muscles. You don't just receive them and leave them dormant. You cultivate them, you strengthen them. You practice listening, practice obeying, practice trusting that inner witness when everything else looks confusing. And the more you use this gift, the sharper it becomes, the steadier it grows, the deeper it roots inside you. But let me tell you, the first challenge you will face is doubt. The enemy always tries to make you second guess yourself. He whispers, that was just your imagination. That wasn't real. You're just overthinking. He knows that if he can keep you questioning the gift, you will never use it. But hear me tonight. What you sense, what you perceive, what rises in your spirit is not an accident. It is not random. It is a deposit of wisdom placed within you. You don't need to dismiss it. You don't need to downplay it. You need to honor it. Think about the times in your life when you ignored that inner voice. You felt something was wrong, but you went ahead anyway. And later you realize you should have listened. That's clarity trying to protect you. Now think about the times when you followed that quiet nudge, even when you couldn't explain it. And afterward you saw how it kept you safe, how it guided you to the right place at the right time. That's discernment at work. Beloved, this is why I say you must practice trusting it. Not blindly, not recklessly, but faithfully. Because discernment doesn't always scream, it often whispers. And in a world full of noise, whispers are easy to miss. That's why stillness matters. That's why moments of quiet are sacred. It is in stillness that the whisper becomes clear. It is in silence that the gift sharpens. So ask yourself, how much space are you giving for clarity to speak? If every moment of your life is filled with noise, with voices, with distractions, how can you expect to hear the whisper of wisdom? You've got to create room. You've got to slow down. You've got to guard your spirit from being cluttered with the unnecessary, because clarity cannot be forced into chaos. It flourishes in peace. Now let me take this deeper. This gift does not only help you discern people or opportunities, it helps you discern yourself. It helps you see through your own illusions. It exposes your own motives. It reveals the truth of what's inside your heart. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because we'd rather look outward than inward. We'd rather examine others than confront ourselves. But discernment begins at home. The Spirit gives you eyes to see not just what surrounds you, but what is within you. This is why some of you have felt convicted in quiet moments. Not condemned, but convicted. That gentle pull, that clear awareness that something inside you needs to shift, that is clarity doing its work. It's not to shame you, it's to shape you. It's not to break you down, it's to build you up. Because the truth is, if you don't see yourself clearly, you will never walk in the fullness of who you were made to be. And so this gift is not just protection, it's transformation. It doesn't only keep you from being deceived by others, it keeps you from deceiving yourself. It brings honesty. It brings integrity. It calls you higher. It aligns you with truth in every part of your life. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a river flowing clear and steady. When the water is calm, you can see straight to the bottom. Every stone, every fish, every detail is visible. But when the water is muddy, stirred up full of debris, you cannot see beneath the surface. That is the difference between a life without discernment and a life with it. Without it, everything is clouded, confusing, uncertain. With it, the water clears, the vision sharpens, the path becomes visible. That is what God wants for you to see beneath the surface, to see reality as it truly is. But clarity is not given for you to boast. It is not given to make you superior. It is given so that you may walk wisely, love deeply, and live faithfully. It is given so you can avoid the traps, navigate the challenges, and remain unstained by what is worthless. It is given so your soul remains pure in a world that constantly tries to contaminate it. And hear me, the more you embrace this gift, the more you will feel set apart. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will see what you see. You may look at a situation and know it is empty while others rush into it. You may sense danger when others see opportunity. You may feel peace when others panic. And that difference may isolate you. But don't mistake that isolation for abandonment. That is distinction. That is separation for the sake of truth. That is evidence that the gift is alive in you. So let me encourage you tonight, don't apologize for discernment. Don't downplay your clarity. Don't suppress your insight to fit in with the crowd. Walk in it, live in it, honor it, because the world needs people who see clearly, who live truthfully, who move wisely. And when you walk in this gift, you become a light in dark places. You become an anchor in storms. You become a voice of calm when fear rises. You become a source of wisdom for those drowning in confusion. This is not about drawing attention to yourself. This is about letting the clarity you've been given serve others, bless others, guide others. So tonight, let this truth settle deep. You have been given a gift of vision, a gift of peace, a gift of discernment that no storm can steal, no critic can shake, no darkness can overcome. Cherish it, guard it, live by it. Because when you do, you will walk in freedom, you will walk in truth, and you will walk in the unshakable assurance that your steps are guided by something greater than yourself. This is the inheritance of those who belong to Him. This is the strength that sustains you when all else fades. And if you embrace it, you will not only see more clearly, you will live more fully. Beloved chosen ones, now we arrive at a turning point, a moment of transition, a call to shift. Because discernment is not just for protection, it's for direction. It points you forward, it calls you higher, and tonight, the call is this: step into a new season. Understand me clearly. Every season of life carries purpose. There was a time when survival taught you lessons. There was a time when the old ways kept you afloat. But there comes a point when the very things that once sustained you no longer feed your spirit. There comes a moment when what was comfortable yesterday becomes a weight today. And when that moment comes, the voice within begins to stir, let go, move forward, step into the new. And here is the truth that might shake you. Stepping into a new season requires release. You cannot carry every old thing with you into the new. You cannot drag the baggage of a past identity into the unfolding of your true self. You must lay aside what no longer nourishes, what no longer strengthens, what no longer aligns with the destiny before you. But listen, release is not destruction. Letting go is not losing. Shedding the old is not about breaking you down. It is about revealing what was hidden underneath all along. The Spirit is not erasing who you are. The Spirit is uncovering who you truly are. What you thought was unraveling is really unveiling. Picture a tree in autumn. The leaves begin to fall. They are not ugly, they are not useless, they serve their time. But if the tree clung to every leaf, it could never enter the winter's stillness or the spring's renewal. In the same way, some things in your life had a season. They were necessary for that time, but now they must be released so that something greater, something fresher, something more alive can grow. And I know letting go hurts. I know stepping away from familiar patterns feels like loss. But hear me, this is not punishment. This is preparation. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. You are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself. See, the old self, the one shaped by survival, fear, and striving, was never the final word about you. It was a layer, a mask, a temporary shell. But underneath the truest version of who you are, the one the Creator formed from the beginning, has been waiting, and the moment has come for that self to rise. This is why your old ways feel strange now. This is why what once felt normal feels heavy. This is why the things that used to satisfy you leave you empty. It's because your spirit knows it's time. You've outgrown that shell. You've outgrown that mask. And the whisper inside says, step into the new. Beloved, stepping into a new season is not about chasing something shiny or novel. It is not about discarding your story. It is about aligning your life with the deeper truth of who you are. It is about saying yes to the inner call that says, this is not the end. This is the beginning. This is not collapse. This is renewal. Now let me be clear. The enemy will try to convince you otherwise. He will point to the falling leaves and say, look, you're dying. He will point to the unraveling and say, look, you're breaking. He will point to the empty spaces and say, look, you've lost. But you must speak back with truth. You must declare, no, this is transition. This is unveiling. This is transformation. And transformation is never neat. Transformation is never painless, but transformation is always holy. It is the sacred work of becoming who you were created to be. So, tonight I ask you, what do you need to release? What are you holding on to that no longer feeds your spirit? What old story, what old habit, what old label do you keep clutching, even though your soul whispers that it is time to let it go? Because stepping into the new means loosening your grip on the old. I know you may fear emptiness. I know you may wonder, if I let this go, what will be left? But here is the promise. Emptiness is not absence. Emptiness is expectation. When you clear the space, the spirit fills it with something better, richer, truer. The letting go is the making room. This is not theory. This is reality. Some of you are already in that in-between place. The old feels strange, the new not yet fully visible. It feels like standing at the threshold, one foot in the past, one foot in the unknown. And I'm here to tell you that threshold is holy. It is sacred ground. It is the doorway into purpose. Do not despise this transition. Do not fear this shift. Embrace it. Because what feels like unraveling is actually the careful unveiling of who you were meant to be. And in that unveiling, you will find a peace deeper than circumstance, a strength stronger than fear, and a purpose greater than anything you've known before. But here's the truth. You must face stepping into a new season is not just about releasing the old. It is about embracing the process of becoming, and becoming takes courage. Becoming takes honesty. Becoming requires that you stop pretending to be who others expect you to be and start living as who you truly are. That's why many resist it. Because it's easier to wear the mask, to stay in the old patterns, to cling to the old habits, than it is to step forward into the unknown. But chosen ones, you were not created to settle for easy, you were created for transformation. And transformation always begins inside. The outward shifts only come after the inner surrender. Before the new doors open, the heart must be willing. Before the external changes, the inner self must align. That's why the spirit keeps pressing on your soul. That's why you've been restless. That's why you felt like the old ways don't fit anymore. It is heaven's way of saying, prepare. It is time. So let me ask you directly. Are you willing to say yes? Are you willing to let the inner call grow louder than the outer noise? Are you willing to let your true self emerge, even if it means disappointing people who were comfortable with your mask? Because make no mistake, not everyone will celebrate your change. Not everyone will applaud your growth. Some will prefer the old you because the old you fit their expectations. The new, you will challenge them, confront them, unsettle them. But you cannot stay bound to their comfort. You must live free in your calling. Let me paint you a picture. A butterfly was once a caterpillar. The cocoon looked like confinement. It looked like death. From the outside, nothing seemed alive. But inside, transformation was happening. The old form was dissolving, so the true form could emerge. And when the butterfly broke out, it did not crawl anymore. It soared. The cocoon was never meant to destroy, it was meant to prepare. And that's where some of you are right now. It feels tight. It feels hidden. It feels like something in you is dissolving. But what's really happening is that your wings are forming. This is what stepping into a new season looks like. The dissolving of the old, the emergence of the new, the loss of the mask, the unveiling of the true. And once you rise, once you soar, you will see that the struggle was not wasted. The confinement was not wasted. The pain was not wasted. It was all shaping you for the flight. But here's what I need you to grasp. The new season is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. It is not about pretending to have it all together. It is about finally being aligned with the truth of who you are. The world does not need another polished mask. The world needs the real you. The one shaped by grace, strengthened by trials, refined by fire. And your purpose is found in that authenticity, because the call on your life was not given to your mask, it was given to your true self. And until you step into that true self, you cannot fully walk in that purpose. That's why this moment matters so much. That's why the Spirit keeps urging you forward. It is not just about your peace, it is about your calling. It is not just about your comfort, it is about your assignment. So tonight, hear this as clearly as you can. The new season is not optional. It is necessary. It is the doorway to destiny. And if you try to cling to the old too long, you will only find frustration. You will only find emptiness, because the grace has shifted. The grace that once sustained you in the old has now moved into the new. And if you want to live in flow, if you want to live in fullness, you must move with grace. Now, don't misunderstand. This doesn't mean you abandon everything you've ever known. It means you learn to discern what belongs to the new and what must stay in the past. It means you honor your story, but you do not chain yourself to it. It means you carry the wisdom of your scars, but you do not let the scars define you. It means you bless the past, but you step boldly into the future. And as you step, remember this: the spirit within you is stronger than the fear around you. The whisper inside you is louder than the noise outside you. The power guiding you is greater than the obstacles before you. You are not stepping alone. You are stepping with the one who has already prepared the way. So take courage, say yes, release what no longer serves your spirit. Embrace the unveiling. Step into the becoming, because your new season has already begun. And when you step into this new season, let me warn you, your steps will be tested. Every transition carries trials. Every transformation comes with resistance. Do not be surprised when old temptations knock again, when familiar fears try to whisper, when the enemy throws shadows across your path. That does not mean you are failing. That does not mean you made a mistake. It means you are moving forward. It means the shift is real and the adversary is afraid of who you are becoming. But hear me, beloved, the power within you is greater than the pull behind you. The grace that calls you forward is stronger than the chains that try to drag you back. And once you've tasted the clarity of this new season, you cannot settle for the confusion of the old. Once you've breathed the fresh air of authenticity, you cannot go back to suffocating under a mask. Once you've felt the freedom of alignment, you cannot return to the prison of pretense. This is why you must guard your heart, because stepping into a new season is not just about external change, it is about sustaining the inner change. If your heart remains anchored in truth, no storm can uproot you. If your soul remains rooted in peace, no chaos can steal it. If your mind remains fixed on purpose, no distraction can derail it. The battle is not in the season, it is in the soul. Keep your soul steady, and you will keep walking forward. Now let me speak to your fear of failure, because some of you hesitate to embrace the new, not because you don't want it, but because you are afraid you will fall. You wonder, what if I can't live up to it? What if I stumble? What if I lose my way? And the answer is simple. Stumbling does not cancel your season. Falling does not erase your calling. Grace is not fragile. Purpose is not revoked when you struggle. The new season is not built on your perfection, it is built on your surrender. So don't wait until you feel flawless to step in. Don't delay until you think you've mastered it all. Step forward in faith, even trembling, even uncertain, because the power that sustains you is not your own. The Spirit that called you into this new season will also carry you through it. And let me remind you, this season is not just about you. Yes, it is personal. Yes, it is transformative. But your change will ripple outward. When you walk in authenticity, you give others permission to do the same. When you live in freedom, you inspire others to break their chains. When you align with purpose, you open doors for those watching your journey. Your courage to step into the new becomes a testimony that awakens courage in someone else. So ask yourself, who is waiting for me to rise? Whose breakthrough is connected to my obedience? Whose freedom is tied to my yes? Because no destiny is ever isolated. We are woven together. And when one rises, others follow. This is why you cannot shrink back. This is why you cannot delay. The stakes are higher than your comfort. The call is greater than your fear. This season is not just about your peace, it is about your purpose. It is about your impact. It is about becoming the living proof that transformation is real, that change is possible, that destiny is stronger than history. Beloved, you are stepping into a season of alignment. The pieces that once felt scattered will begin to make sense. The struggles that once seemed wasted will reveal their purpose. The tears that once felt forgotten will be shown as seeds of growth. Nothing will be wasted. Every detail will be woven into the tapestry of your calling. But you must choose. You must decide. You must step. No one can walk into your new season for you. No one can surrender on your behalf. The invitation is clear, but the response is yours. And heaven is waiting for your yes. So tonight, let me challenge you with all the urgency in my soul. Do not cling to what is fading. Do not delay what is dawning. Do not let fear steal what grace has already given. Step boldly, step freely, step fully into the new season. Because this is not the end. This is the unveiling. This is not destruction. This is resurrection. This is not collapse. This is the beginning of becoming. Declare it with me. I will not return to the old. I will not cling to what no longer feeds me. I will not fear the unknown. I am stepping into the new. I am embracing my true self. I am walking in the purpose for which I was created. And as you declare it, let the old chains fall. Let the old masks drop. Let the old labels fade. Step into the light of authenticity. Step into the strength of clarity. Step into the peace of alignment. Because your new season is not coming, it is here. And nothing will ever be the same. My dear friends, hear me tonight. We have walked through the season of change. We have spoken about stepping into the new, but now we must go deeper. Because no one truly enters the new without first learning how to let go of the old, and letting go is not a punishment. The emptiness that follows is not abandonment. The losses you've endured are not evidence of rejection. They are preparation. They are sacred ground. They are the beginning of something holy being born inside of you. I know what it feels like to see things slip from your hands, to feel relationships fade, opportunities vanish, dreams crumble. And the first instinct is to say, why? What did I do wrong? Is this punishment? Is heaven angry with me? But I came to tell you tonight, it is not punishment, it is preparation. The breaking of the old is not the end, it is the unveiling. It is the doorway to rebirth. Think about this. A seed must crack open for new life to emerge. From the outside, it looks like destruction. The shell splits, the form dissolves, the old is unrecognizable. But that breaking is not death. It is the only way for the hidden life inside to grow. In the same way, what feels like breaking in your life may actually be birthing. What feels like loss may be the opening for light to enter. And here is the truth. Rebirth cannot come without release. You cannot cling to what is dying and still embrace what is rising. You cannot hold on to the shell and still expect the sprout to break through. There comes a point when you must let it go, even if your hands tremble, even if your heart aches, because the Spirit whispers, this is not the end. This is the beginning. Now let's be honest. Letting go is not easy. It feels like tearing away pieces of yourself. It feels like standing in emptiness. But beloved, emptiness is not absence, it is expectation. The space left behind is the space where holiness descends. The hollow places in your soul are the very places the Spirit fills. When the weight of what you lost leaves you gasping, that is the exact moment fresh breath enters your lungs. Some of you have been carrying burdens for years. You've been dragging chains of shame, guilt, fear, disappointment. You've been trying to exist with layers of old identities strapped to your soul. And you've wondered why you feel tired, why you feel heavy, why you feel stuck. It's because you were never meant to live like that. You were never meant to drag yesterday into tomorrow. You were meant to release, and release is where freedom begins. This is the transition out of fear and into life, out of mere survival and into growth, out of being crushed and into rising. Letting go is not losing yourself, it is discovering yourself. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. Letting go is the posture of faith that says, I believe what is coming is greater than what I'm leaving behind. Imagine a traveler on a long journey, carrying bags filled with rocks. Every step is harder, every mile heavier. And finally someone says, set the bags down. You don't need them anymore. At first the traveler resists. Those bags feel familiar. They've been carried so long they feel like part of who he is. But the moment he drops them, the moment he feels the ground shake with their weight, he realizes how free he actually is. That's what letting go feels like. You don't realize how heavy it was until you finally set it down. But here's the holy twist. Letting go doesn't just remove weight. It makes room. It clears the clutter of the soul so something sacred can settle in. And that something is not small. It is light. It is truth. It is freedom. It is new life. Rebirth is not about becoming someone else. It is about uncovering who you have always been. Beneath the noise, beneath the scars, beneath the survival. It is about peeling away the false layers until the true self emerges, the self designed in love, the self formed with purpose, the self heaven has been waiting to reveal. And I need you to know this rebirth is not neat. It is not polished. It is raw. It is messy. It is uncomfortable. It feels like things are falling apart, like you are unraveling piece by piece. But what is really happening is that the false is dissolving so the true can rise. What is really happening is that the old is breaking so the new can breathe. So if you are in that place right now, if you feel like you are falling apart, I want you to shift your perspective. Don't call it destruction, call it transition. Don't call it punishment, call it preparation. Don't call it the end, call it the beginning. Because the breaking of the shell is the birth of the sprout. The crumbling of the mask is the revealing of the face. The falling of the old is the rising of the new. Beloved, hear this. You are not being reduced. You are being reborn. You are not being broken. You are being unveiled. You are not being diminished. You are being delivered. And as painful as it feels, as confusing as it seems, you are standing in the sacred middle where heaven does its deepest work. So tonight I urge you, stop resisting the release. Stop clinging to what cannot stay. Stop fearing the emptiness. Let it go. Let it fall. Let it dissolve. Because the light is ready to enter, the breath is ready to fill, the true self is ready to rise. This is the process of letting go and spiritual rebirth. It is the passageway from burden to freedom, from fear to life, from mere existence to growth. And the moment you surrender to it, everything begins to change. But let's be honest here. Surrender is one of the hardest things for us to do, because surrender feels like losing control. Surrender feels like weakness. Surrender feels like defeat. Yet in the kingdom of God, surrender is power. In the eyes of heaven, surrender is strength, because it is not the giving up of your destiny, it is the giving over of your destiny into hands stronger than yours. You see, the old self is obsessed with control. It clings, it grasps, it hoards, it resists. The old self says, if I let this go, I will have nothing left. If I release this, I will collapse. But the new self knows a greater truth. The moment you release, you create space for something greater. The moment you let go, your hands are free to receive. The moment you stop controlling, you discover the one who was in control all along. This is the mystery of spiritual rebirth. It begins with surrender. Not with striving, not with proving, not with performing, but with opening your hands and saying, I cannot carry this anymore. I release it. I let it fall. I give it to the one who knows what to do with it. And in that moment of release, the breath of new life enters. Beloved, let me tell you a truth that may sting. Some of the things you are trying to fix were never meant to be fixed. They were meant to be released. Some of the things you are clinging to were never meant to be permanent. They were meant to serve a season and then fade. But because you hold on so tightly, you prolong your own pain. You keep yourself in a prison whose door has already been unlocked. What if I told you that the very emptiness you fear is the very place where heaven wants to meet you? What if I told you that the hollow in your heart is not a curse, but an invitation? What if I told you that your emptiness is the canvas on which God paints his greatest work? Because think about it. If you were already full, there would be no room for more. If you were already whole in your own power, you would never need rebirth. If you were already satisfied by the old, you would never step into the new. That is why emptiness is not absence, it is preparation. It is space being cleared for the holy to arrive. And yes, emptiness hurts. It aches. It makes you restless. It makes you cry out in the night. But even those tears, beloved, are sacred. Every tear is a seed. Every cry is a prayer. Every ache is a signal that something greater is on its way. You are not collapsing, you are being cleared. This is why the process often feels so disorienting, because everything you once leaned on begins to shake. The relationships you thought would last forever begin to shift. The dreams you thought were certain begin to fade. The identity you thought was unshakable begins to crack, and you wonder, who am I without all this? Let me answer it plainly. You are who you've always been in the eyes of the Creator. You are not the mask you wore. You are not the titles you carried. You are not the roles you played. You are not the mistakes you made. You are the beloved. You are the chosen. You are the one formed in his image, filled with his breath, set apart for his purpose. That is who you are when everything else is stripped away. So don't fear the stripping. Don't fear the unraveling. Don't fear the breaking, because all it is doing is revealing what has been true from the beginning. Spiritual rebirth is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you truly are. Let me give you an image. When a sculptor looks at a block of marble, he doesn't see stone. He sees the figure hidden inside. Every strike of the hammer, every chip of the chisel is not destruction, it is revelation. He is not breaking the marble apart. He is setting the masterpiece free. That's what the Spirit is doing in you. The hammer may feel harsh. The chisel may sting. But what is happening is not ruin, it is release. The masterpiece of who you are is being set free. That's why you must not resist the process. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it confuses. Yes, it feels uncertain, but if you trust it, if you yield to it, if you lean into it instead of away from it, you will see that every strike, every break, every loss is carving you into the truest version of yourself. And as that self emerges, you will discover freedom like you have never known. Freedom from shame, freedom from fear, freedom from the endless striving to prove your worth. You will no longer live bent under the weight of trying to survive. You will rise into the joy of truly living. So tonight I ask you, what would it look like if you stopped fighting the breaking and started trusting the unveiling? What would it look like if you stopped fearing the emptiness and started expecting the filling? What would it look like if you stopped clinging to the shell and started embracing the sprout? Because that is what rebirth invites you into. No destruction but discovery, not collapse but creation, not punishment but preparation. And if you dare to say yes, if you dare to let go, if you dare to surrender, you will rise into life more abundant than you have ever imagined. But hear me, beloved, rebirth does not happen in one dramatic instant. It unfolds step by step, moment by moment, day by day. Some mornings you will wake up still feeling the ache of what you lost. Some nights you will still hear the echo of your old fears. That does not mean the process has failed. That means the process is alive. Because transformation is not a single event, it is a journey. And every step on that journey matters. You may stumble forward. You may take 2 steps ahead and 1 step back. That's all right. Grace does not demand perfection. Grace sustains progress. The Spirit does not shame you for struggling. The Spirit strengthens you to keep walking. Spiritual rebirth is not about sprinting without flaw. It is about walking faithfully in surrender, no matter how many times you have to steady your step. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you will notice the shift. You will notice that the fear that once paralyzed you no longer holds the same grip. You will notice that the shame that once defined you now fades like a shadow in the light. You will notice that the cravings of the old life feel hollow and the pull of the new life feels stronger. That is rebirth in motion. That is resurrection in real time. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not overlook small shifts. Because even the smallest seed contains the potential for a forest. Even the smallest flicker contains the promise of a flame. What matters is not the size of the change, it is the reality of it. If the Spirit has started the work in you, He will finish it. And when you begin to live out of this rebirth, something extraordinary happens. You discover freedom, not the shallow freedom the world offers, the kind that shouts independence but still hides chains. Now I'm talking about deep freedom. Freedom from carrying yesterday's weight. Freedom from pretending to be someone you're not. Freedom from the voices that told you you weren't enough. Freedom from the cycle of striving and failing and striving again. This freedom is not loud. It is quiet, steady, unshakable. It is a peace that cannot be stolen, even when storms rage. It is a joy that rises even in sorrow. It is a strength that endures even when circumstances collapse. Because this freedom is not built on your performance, it is rooted in your rebirth. Beloved, I want you to imagine what your life would look like if you truly lived free. Imagine walking without the old shame pressing on your shoulders. Imagine speaking without the fear of judgment silencing your voice. Imagine making choices not out of fear but out of faith. Imagine rising every morning not merely to survive but to live fully, to grow deeply, to love boldly. That is not a fantasy, that is the promise of spiritual rebirth. But let me also be clear, rebirth is not just for your sake. It is for the sake of those around you. When you let go of the old and step into the new, your light shines brighter. Your testimony grows stronger. Your presence becomes a beacon for those still trapped in darkness. People will look at you and say, if transformation was possible for them, maybe it's possible for me too. And in that moment, your personal rebirth becomes a communal blessing. So don't heed it, don't downplay it. Don't pretend you are still the old self just to keep others comfortable. Live boldly as the new creation you are becoming, because the world doesn't need your mask, it needs your truth. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your authenticity. The world doesn't need a polished image, it needs the living proof of a life reborn. Now let me give you one more image to hold in your heart. Think of a phoenix. It rises not in spite of the fire, but through it. The ashes are not its end, they are its beginning. What looked like destruction was actually preparation for flight. Beloved, that is you. The fire you went through, the losses you endured, the emptiness you felt, they were not meant to end you. They were meant to birth you. You are rising from the ashes, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. So tonight I leave you with this call: release what is no longer yours to carry. Embrace the emptiness as holy ground. Trust the breaking as the birthplace of light. And step boldly into the freedom of rebirth, because the Spirit is not done with you. The story is not over. The unveiling has just begun. And as you rise into this newness, declare it with courage. I am not what I lost. I am not what I feared. I am not what I used to be. I am reborn. I am free. I am alive. Beloved, this is not the end of your journey. It is the threshold of your destiny. The old has fallen. The new has risen. And from this day forward, you will never be the same. Beloved, we have walked through the season of release, through the pain of letting go, through the holy breaking that led to spiritual rebirth. But hear me now, the journey does not end at rebirth. New life is not just received, it must be practiced. The presence of God is not just experienced in a moment of fire, it must be carried in the quiet rhythms of your days. If you want to sustain this new life, you must learn how to live it out, not just in the big moments, but in the ordinary ones. Because here's the truth: God's presence is not only found in the sanctuary, it is not reserved for mountaintop experiences or dramatic encounters. His presence is meant to saturate every step of your walk, every breath of your life, every corner of your daily existence. And the way you sustain His presence is not by chasing dramatic signs, but by cultivating holy habits. Let's talk about the first of those habits: inner stillness. In a world that shouts, that rushes, that never slows down, inner stillness is a radical act of faith. It is the choice to quiet your mind, to silence the noise, to create space within where the whisper of God can be heard. Without stillness, your discernment grows dull. Without stillness, your heart gets tangled in distractions. But with stillness, you create a dwelling place for His presence. Think about it: when a lake is stirred by wind and waves, the water is cloudy. But when it is still, the reflection is clear. The same is true of your soul. When you are restless, anxious, consumed by noise, you cannot see clearly. But when you become still, the reflection of God's presence shines bright within you. That is why stillness must become part of your practice, not as an occasional luxury, but as a daily necessity. The second practice is gratitude. Gratitude is not just a polite thank you whispered in passing. Gratitude is a spiritual discipline. Gratitude is a weapon. Gratitude is the lens that shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what you fear to what you already have. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into holy ground. When you begin to thank God for the small things, the breath in your lungs, the strength to rise, the kindness of a stranger, you train your spirit to recognize His presence everywhere. Gratitude multiplie présence. The more you thank Him, the more you see Him. The more you see Him, the more you carry Him. Gratitude is not just reaction, it is perception. It does not wait for perfection. It sees blessing in the midst of imperfection. And that practice will sustain you far longer than emotional highs ever could. Now let us speak of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not optional if you want to live in the presence of God, because unforgiveness is poison. It does not harm the one who hurt you nearly as much as it corrodes your own soul. When you hold bitterness, you block the flow of God's peace. When you clutch resentment, you close the door to His joy. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean excusing. It means releasing. It means saying, I refuse to let this chain keep me bound any longer. And when you forgive, you make room again for His presence to flow. The chains fall not only from them, but from you. Forgiveness is freedom, and freedom is where His presence dwells. The next practice is discernment in what you take in. Child of God, not everything that enters your mind is worthy of your spirit. Not every conversation, not every piece of media, not every environment is holy ground. If you want to sustain His presence, you must be selective. You must guard your spirit like a sacred temple. Ask yourself, does this feed my soul or does it drain it? Does this draw me closer to peace or deeper into chaos? Because what you consume will shape what you carry. Holiness is not about avoiding the world, but about choosing what aligns with truth. You cannot fill your spirit with constant noise, negativity, and poison and then expect to walk in steady peace. You must choose wisely. You must be intentional. You must guard the wellspring of your heart. And when you combine stillness, gratitude, forgiveness, and discernment, something extraordinary happens. The ordinary becomes sacred. The daily routine becomes holy. Washing dishes becomes worship. Walking down the street becomes communion. Every act, no matter how small, becomes an altar where His presence dwells. Because sustaining God's presence is not about escaping daily life, it is about infusing daily life with His presence. It is about practicing His nearness in the little things until your whole life becomes a sanctuary. Beloved, let this sink deep. Your life is meant to be holy ground. Not just the moments when you feel fire, not just the hours spent in church, but the entire rhythm of your existence. And when you begin to practice this, you will discover that His presence does not leave you. You do not lose it between Sundays. You do not misplace it when trouble comes. You carry it with you because you have cultivated it within you. Your life is meant to be holy ground. Not just the mountaintop moments, not just the hours in church, but every step, every breath, every act. And when you begin to see it this way, you realize sustaining the presence of God is not about chasing emotional highs. It is about cultivating daily faithfulness. It is not about waiting for lightning to strike. It is about striking the match of small, consistent practices until your whole being burns with steady fire. But here's where many stumble. They think the presence of God is fragile, like it comes and goes, with moods like it's dependent on whether the atmosphere feels spiritual enough. Beloved, His presence is not fragile. His presence is faithful. What makes the difference is not whether He stays with you, it's whether you stay aware of Him. And awareness must be practiced. This is why gratitude, forgiveness, stillness, and discernment are not just spiritual exercises. They are ways of training your soul to stay awake. Because the world will try to lull you back into sleep. Busyness will try to numb you. Disappointment will try to harden you. Distraction will try to scatter you. If you are not intentional, you will drift. But if you practice, you will remain awake to the one who never left. And let's talk about consistency. The true strength of these practices is not found in one grand act, but in repetition. Gratitude one day is good, but gratitude every day transforms you. Forgiveness once sets you free. But forgiveness as a way of life keeps you free. Stillness for a moment refreshes you, but stillness as a rhythm anchors you. Discernment in one decision helps, but discernment in every choice keeps your path clear. Holiness is forged, not in dramatic gestures, but in daily faithfulness. Think of it like this: a garden is not sustained by one rainfall. It thrives because it receives water consistently. The soil is not nourished by one ray of sunlight, but by daily exposure. In the same way, your soul is not sustained by one spiritual encounter, but by the steady practice of opening yourself to the presence of God day after day. And when you do that, your life itself becomes a garden where His presence flourishes. But let me also say this: these practices are not meant to burden you. They are not rules to perform so you can earn His presence. They are invitations to open yourself to what is already yours. They are ways of clearing away the noise, the clutter, the poison, so that you can breathe deeply of the presence already given. Think of them not as duties, but as doorways. Each act of gratitude opens a door. Each moment of forgiveness unlocks a gate. Each pause for stillness widens a window. Each discerning choice clears a path, and through those open spaces, His presence flows freely. Now, some of you may say, but what if I fail? What if I forget? What if I get distracted again? And my answer is this: you are human. You will stumble. You will forget. You will get distracted. But the beauty of these practices is that you can always begin again. The presence of God is not withdrawn because you lost focus. It waits patiently for you to return. And the moment you turn your attention back, the flow begins again. This is the grace of it. You don't have to be perfect to sustain His presence. You just have to be willing. You just have to return. Again and again you return. And each return strengthens the habit. Each return deepens the well. Each return makes the presence more natural, more constant, more steady. And slowly your life begins to change. People around you notice something different. You are not as easily shaken. You are not as quickly angered. You carry a calm that confuses the world. You speak with a wisdom that goes beyond your years. You forgive when others would retaliate. You shine with a light that cannot be dimmed. And they ask you, what's different about you? And you can only answer, I've learned to live in His presence. Beloved, don't miss this. The miracle is not just that you experience rebirth. The miracle is that you sustain it, you live it, you practice it until it becomes who you are. And this is how the world is changed, not just through preachers on platforms, but through people living presence in the everyday, through mothers who practice gratitude as they raise their children, through workers who practice forgiveness in the face of insult, through students who practice stillness before tests, through friends who practice discernment in relationships. This is how ordinary lives become extraordinary testimonies. So tonight I urge you, do not treat these practices as small. Do not dismiss them as simple. They are the very ground on which the new life grows. They are the means by which presence is sustained. And if you will live them out daily, faithfully, consistently, you will discover that the presence of God is not something you visit, it is something you carry. And when you carry it, everything changes. The way you see yourself, the way you see others, the way you respond to pain, the way you navigate storms, the way you embrace joy. Every corner of your life becomes touched by His nearness. So let us not chase after fleeting moments of fire while ignoring the daily flame of practice. Let us not run after dramatic signs while neglecting the quiet disciplines. Let us not hunger for revival while refusing to water the garden of our own souls. The presence is here. The presence is near. The question is, will you practice the new life in such a way that His presence becomes your dwelling, your rhythm, your reality? Beloved, as we come to the close of today's message, this is the very moment where waiting ends and breakthrough begins. This is not an idea to ponder. This is not a distant someday. This is now. The season of hesitation is over. The season of merely surviving is finished. The season of breakthrough has come. You've carried burdens long enough. You've prayed in silence long enough. You've endured nights of tears long enough. And now heaven is announcing a shift. The season of surviving is giving way to the season of abundance. The season of waiting is giving way to the season of acceleration. The doors that were locked are opening. The chains that were heavy are falling. The delays that once defined you are being overturned by the hand of the Almighty. And here is what you must understand. When breakthrough comes, it does not crawl. It does not creep. It does not drag. It comes suddenly, it comes swiftly, it comes like lightning across the night sky. For years you felt like nothing was changing. For years you wondered if the silence meant you were forgotten. But when the moment comes, change will happen so fast, it will make your head spin. You will see in days what you prayed for. Over decades, you will reap in one moment what was sown in years of tears. Do not mistake, this breakthrough is not just relief. Breakthrough is restoration. It does not merely end the struggle, it replaces what was lost. It does not simply close the chapter of pain. It writes the chapter of abundance. You thought you were just asking to survive the storm, but God is about to give you victory in the storm. You thought you were just hoping for a little peace, but He is preparing joy that overflows. You thought you were just praying for enough to make it through, but He is preparing more than enough, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Some of you asked for strength just to stand, but you are about to run. Some of you asked for healing just enough to stop the pain, but you are about to walk in wholeness you didn't even know was possible. Some of you asked for a door to open somewhere, anywhere, but doors are about to fly open in places you didn't even knock, because this is not ordinary breakthrough. This is accelerated breakthrough. This is restoration overflowing. Let me speak it clearly. The victory you didn't even know how to pray for is about to reveal itself. You prayed small because you were weary. You prayed vague because you were uncertain. You prayed survival because you couldn't imagine abundance. But heaven heard the prayers beneath your words, the cries too deep for language, the ache too heavy to form into sentences. And heaven has answered with more than you asked, with greater than you dreamed, with faster than you expected. Beloved, the tables are turning. The verdict has been reversed. The record that held you back has been cleared. What was against you has been silenced. The opposition that pressed you has been scattered. And now the word over your life is not defeat, not delay, not despair. The word is victory. The word is restoration. The word is breakthrough. And I feel this in my spirit. You must not walk into this breakthrough timidly. You must not enter it half-hearted. This is the moment to rise boldly, to declare with your mouth what your spirit already knows. I belong to the Most High. I am walking in victory. I am stepping into restoration because your agreement has power. Your declaration seals what heaven has decreed. Do not stand at the threshold and hesitate. Do not let fear whisper that it's too good to be true. Do not let doubt rob you of what has already been released. Step in, lean in, take hold, because the season of waiting has ended. The season of breakthrough has begun. And listen, breakthrough is not just for you. Your restoration will ripple. Your healing will overflow into those around you. Your abundance will bless those connected to you. This victory is personal, yes, but it is also generational. What is being broken off your life will not bind your children. What is being restored to you will bless those who come after you. Your breakthrough is a seed of hope for many. So I call you tonight, lift your head, straighten your shoulders. Let hope rise again. Do not measure tomorrow by yesterday's pain. Do not let the memory of the struggle define the expectation of your future, because what is coming is greater than what has been. What is ahead is stronger than what is behind, and what is rising is brighter than what has fallen. This is not just the end of sorrow. This is the dawn of joy. This is not just the end of waiting. This is the beginning of running. This is not just the end of survival. This is the beginning of thriving. The shift has already begun. The sound of chains hitting the floor is already echoing. The creak of doors swinging open is already in your ears. Can you feel it? Can you sense it? Breakthrough is not coming, it is here. So declare it with me. My season of survival is over. My season of breakthrough is here. My season of restoration has begun. I will walk in abundance. I will live in freedom. I will rise in victory. And I leave you with this, beloved. The victory you didn't even know how to pray for, the breakthrough you didn't even know how to name, the blessing you didn't even know how to imagine, is about to reveal itself in your life. Not slowly, not someday, but swiftly, suddenly, undeniably. The chains are broken. The doors are open. The waiting is over. The breakthrough is here. And your story from this moment forward will never be the same. Finally, I want to thank you for staying with me until the end. It means more than words can say to know that you have given your time, your heart, and your attention to receive this word. If what you've heard has inspired you, lifted your spirit, or reminded you of God's faithfulness, I humbly invite you to support this space in whatever way feels right for you. Your prayers, your encouragement, and even the simple act of liking and sharing help us continue to spread God's word and His peace across the world. Every gesture, no matter how small, creates ripples that touch lives in ways you may never see. I also invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what part of today's message spoke to you most deeply. Your words may be the encouragement someone else needs to hear. May the Lord cover you with His grace, strengthen you in your steps, and bless everything you set your hands to. Until we meet again, keep walking in faith, keep standing in hope, and keep living in His love. Amen.